Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Welcome back. Now, this week, Ireland goes to the polls to decide whether to end a ban on abortion. Voters are going to be asked whether they want to repeal the 8th Amendment. That's a section of the Irish Constitution that gives an unborn child and its mother equal right to life. In the run-up to the vote, Sky News has spent some time with campaigners on both sides, along with those directly impacted by the constitutional ban on abortion. Sky's senior political correspondent Beth Rigby has this special report.
Ireland is at a crossroads. On the 25th of May, the Irish people will decide whether to repeal the 8th Amendment and end a constitutional ban on abortion.
Repealing the 8th would mean that a compassionate, caring country gets to reveal its true colours, finally.
The reality is that tens and thousands of lives will be lost each and every year.
Women who need abortions could have them here in Ireland. They could be safe and well.
We are changing a law in Ireland that has protected mothers and babies.
Your first minute of that scan, or your first second, was joy. Like, you know, you see the little blob and you hear the heartbeat. You know it's there. And then I just knew. I knew when she was quiet, when she said nothing, and when she said, "Is your husband here?" I just thought, this isn't good news.
Last year, Amy and Connor were expecting their second child, but at the 12-week scan, their unborn baby Nico was diagnosed with a fatal condition called anencephaly, which affects the baby's brain and skull.
She said that it was likely the baby would pass away in utero, that some babies then do go full term, and if they do go full term and you give birth, they're likely to die while you're giving birth. And that if the baby didn't die while you give birth, it was going to be a few minutes, maybe an hour or two. And I started to think at that stage that that was not a kind way for a baby to die. And I was thinking about myself and having to spend the next 6 months pregnant with people asking me how far along I was. Before all this happened, I would have known that abortion was illegal here, that in most cases. But I thought in a case where it was this severe, where there really wasn't a brain, where a baby was missing most of its brain, and where the amniotic fluid would be wearing the brain down until she died, I really thought they could help more.
I was angry, but I didn't know where to target it, because even, you know, in Ireland, the Irish doctors and nurses, they're totally hamstrung by the law. Even if they wanted to help, helping us comes with a 14-year jail sentence, which is crazy. Why should a medical issue come with essentially a jail sentence hanging over it?
To understand Ireland's abortion laws, you have to go back to 1983, when the country voted to insert a pro-life amendment into its constitution. Those involved in the campaign for a woman's right to choose an abortion remember it as hugely divisive.
It is completely different now from what it was in '83, when, you know, I got horrible things, notices stuck on my car, phone calls in the middle of the night, people reciting the rosary down the phone.
3 decades later, and Ireland is still divided about what kind of country it wants to be.
From a lonely woman's womb, a baby girl cries, "Daddy, oh Mommy, are you taking me away?"
The No side says the rights of the unborn must be protected. They're travelling the country trying to reach a large swathe of undecided voters.
He wasn't going to vote, he was 82 and he didn't feel it was his business, and now he's going to vote no.
Save the 8th campaigner Vicky Wall's baby was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder, Edwards syndrome, at 23 weeks.
I think he knew by my face that abortion would not be an option for us. wouldn't have been our right to abort her. She was unique and she was a daughter and she was valued to us.
Vicky continued with her pregnancy, but her baby died at 32 weeks.
Liadhan died at home, surrounded by her family and with love and with care and most of all with dignity. And I take a massive comfort in that she died on her terms.
We've talked about your really difficult choice that you made. Do you feel comfortable in making that choice for other women rather than letting them make that choice for themselves?
Well, we have to look at what the choice entails. What are we saying we have the choice to do? We're looking to have the choice to end a unique human life. And I don't think that choice is a reasonable choice. Bottom line on it would be that I am extremely pro-life and I think life should be protected.
There's a limited number of these very good leaflets. They're a very good thing to leave with the undecided.
In Dublin, a repeal stronghold, the Yes side are taking nothing for granted.
Yes! I know what way I'm voting.
Right. I can't ask for my time.
What? Oh, you could indeed.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you.
If they win the vote, the government will introduce new laws allowing unrestricted access to abortions up to 12 weeks. That makes a lot of people uncomfortable, so the focus on the doorstep is on the more tragic stories.
We're going to see more cases of women dying because of the eighth, or we're going to see more gross injustices. We're going to see people who suffer from a fatal fetal anomaly diagnosis. We're going to have to travel, continue to travel. So I hope that they will side with the yes side.
Up to 9 Irish women a day travel overseas for an abortion, and this campaign has left many of them reliving that journey once again.
I booked the flights, I booked the hotel, and we managed to find a babysitter for our son because we needed to go overnight. And we flew out. We flew out on a Ryanair flight with stag parties and hen parties and other women as well. You know, we were there and we were like, I wonder, is there anyone else on the plane? And sure enough, when we got to the clinic, it was like, yes, there are other people.
I had a surgical abortion, so I was put under. And they gave us Nico's remains in a box when we left.
We went to an airport hotel and you were starving. We hadn't
eaten in, because it was a surgical procedure, I hadn't eaten in a long time. Yeah. And so Connor was like, we were there with Nico and Connor was like, oh, we'll have to go get dinner. And I was like, we can't leave Nico here. And so you went and got a plate of food and we
back.
Ate dinner. And then got on the plane the next day.
That was, I mean, I think that was one of the lowest points. We had to pass Nico's remains through the X-ray machine and walk through security. And you turned to me and said, what if they ask us to open the box? And I just said, oh, they won't, they know. But I didn't know. I didn't know at the time.
The referendum has exposed divisions between cities and rural towns, between young and older voters. It's another step in Ireland's journey to becoming a more secular state.
Kicking off the second hour of the morning show. Hope that you're having a good Friday so far. We've got lots of great stuff for you this hour, and we're going to be talking to Dr. Eamon McGuinness. We'll be asking him the question on whether the Eighth Amendment puts women's health at risk. That's all coming up in this hour. Right now, let's listen to...
At the Christian radio station Spirit FM, presenter Wendy Grace insists the battle over abortion is not about religion.
For me, abortion is nothing to do with faith, to be honest with you. I think it's a human rights issue for all faiths and none. I don't think you have to be of any particular faith to say it's wrong to end another human life.
The Catholic Church is not as powerful as it once was here, but it still has a strong presence, and conversations with some voters in rural towns are telling.
I mean, it's murder. It's against the 10 Commandments as well. I mean, thou shalt not kill.
No. They have no rights to get rid of beautiful little babies. It's against the laws of God and nature. They have no right. Do not get pregnant in the first place. Do not have sex, then you won't get pregnant.
Actress Tara Flynn says Ireland has a problem with shame. She told her abortion story at a music festival in 2015 because she wanted to end the stigma.
But people stood up right there in that moment and told their stories. And that's when I realised that the warmth out there for people who have already travelled, people have travelled with them. People are keeping secrets in this country, have been for a very long time. It has been Catholic, but there's been a dogma here that has entered our laws, entered our judgment of people's situations, be it their sexuality, be it their, their gender. I think it's time to examine that past.
Other women's stories line the walls of this campaign shop, but still very few women want to speak publicly about their experiences.
So when we got home, I suppose it was again one of those situations where there was no guidance from anyone. No one told us, what do you do when you get back? We knew enough to ring the hospital here about my mental health and my physical health, but we had Nico's remains. And so we put Nico's remains in our freezer.
I started looking into what our options were. We looked into funerals and cremations, but nothing seemed to suit our situation. You know, we had a tiny cardboard box and we didn't really know what to do. And in the end, we felt that, you know, we didn't really have to follow anyone's rules anymore. We didn't really get any support, so we could make our own rules. So we got in the car one day and we drove down the country to a place we really liked, somewhere peaceful. And we buried Nico's remains, and we went to the family, we hugged and cried a bit, and we said goodbye.
For women like Amy, these images can be deeply upsetting and a source of tension between the two sides, locked in rows over whether these posters are misleading and in poor taste. Ireland's changed dramatically over the past 3 decades, voting for divorce, supporting gay marriage, but when it comes to the matter of abortion, people hold deep-rooted beliefs, and everyone I've spoken to here tells me that this is a difficult conversation, and this is proving to be a closely fought campaign, whatever the polls suggest. And when it's all over, somehow people here have got to try to come back together.
You know, you're not going to convince me. The other story.
This is an emotive issue which has split families and friends.
My son's godmother and I actually had a huge falling out. We haven't spoken a year because she's a nurse and she's vote yes and I'm vote no, and like it's literally it has actually divided us. Like we're just not speaking at all.
Both sides feel passionately that this vote is about fighting for the type of Ireland that they want to live in, and both sides vow to fight on.
It wouldn't end because this really matters on an everyday basis to so many people, to so many women in this country.
These people that are looking for repeal, I don't see them with any support groups for this. They just want abortion and then they want to walk away.
Whatever the result, this vote will be a significant milestone in Ireland's abortion wars. As for a lasting peace, that still feels a long way off.